I could not think. My suspicions fell upon Schwabrine. He alone could profit by this betrayal, which might end in my banishment from the fort and my separation from the commandant's family. I was going to tell all to Marya Ivanovna when she met me on the doorstep. "What has happened?" she said to me. "How pale you are." "All is at an end," replied I, handing her my father's letter. In her turn she grew pale. After reading the letter she gave it me back, and said, in a voice broken by emotion, "It was not my fate. Your parents do not want me in your family, God's will be done." God knows better than we do what is fit for us. There is nothing to be done, Petr Andreevich, may you at least be happy. It shall not be thus, I exclaimed, seizing her hand. You love me, I am ready for anything. Let us go and throw ourselves at your parents' feet. They are honest people, neither proud nor hard, they will give us their blessing, we will marry, and then with time, I am sure, we shall succeed in mollifying my father. My mother will intercede for us, and he will forgive me. No, Petr Andreevich, replied Marya, I will not marry you without the blessing of your parents. Without their blessing you would not be happy. Let us submit to the will of God. Should you meet with another betrothed, should you love her, God be with you. 47 Petr Andreevich, I will pray for you both. She began to cry, and went away. I meant to follow her to her room, but I felt unable to control myself, and I went home. I was seated, deep in melancholy reflections, when Savelich suddenly came and interrupted me. Here, sir, said he, handing me a sheet of paper all covered with writing, see if I be a spy on my master, and if I try to sow discord betwixt father and son. I took the paper from his hand, it was Savelich's reply to the letter he had received. Here it is word for word. My lord, Andrei Petrovich, our gracious father, I have received your gracious letter, in which you deign to be angered with me, your serf, bidding me be ashamed of not obeying my master's orders. And I, who am not an old dog, but your faithful servant, I do obey my master's orders, and I have ever served you zealously, even unto white hairs. I did not write to you about Petr Andreyich's wound in order not to frighten you without cause, and now we hear that our mistress, our mother, Avdotya Vasilyeva is ill of fright, and I shall go and pray heaven for her health. Petr Andreich has been wounded in the chest, beneath the right shoulder, under one rib, to the depth of a verchoke and a half, and he has been taken care of in the commandant's house, whither we brought him from the river bank, and it was the barber here, Stepan Paramanov, who treated him, and now Petr Andreich, thank God, is going on well, and there is nothing but good to tell of him. His superiors, according to hearsay, are well pleased with him, and Vasilisa Egorovna treats him as her own son, and because such an affair should have happened to him you must not reproach him. The horse may have 4 legs and yet stumble. And you deign to write that you will send me to keep the pigs. My lord's will be done. And now I salute you down to the ground. Your faithful serf, Arkhip Saveliev. I could not help smiling once or twice as I read the good old man's letter. I did not feel equal to writing to my father. And to make my mother easy, the letter of Saveliev seemed to me amply sufficient. From this day my position underwent a change. Marya Ivanovna scarcely ever spoke to me, and even tried to avoid me. The commandant's house became unbearable to me. Little by little I accustomed myself to stay alone in my quarters. At first Vasilisa Egorovna remonstrated, but, seeing I persisted in my line of conduct, she left me in peace. I only saw Ivan Kuzmich when military duties brought us in contact. I had only rare interviews with Fabrin, whom I disliked the more that I thought I perceived in him a secret enmity, which confirmed all the more my suspicions. Life became a burden to me. I gave myself up, a prey to dark melancholy, which was further fed by loneliness and inaction. My love burnt the more hotly for my enforced quiet, and tormented me more and more. I lost all liking for reading and literature. I was allowing myself to be completely cast down, and I dreaded either becoming mad or dissolute, when events suddenly occurred which strongly influenced my life, and gave my mind a profound and salutary rousing. Chapter 6 Pugachev. Before beginning to relate those strange events to which I was witness, I must say a few words about the state of affairs in the district of Orenburg about the end of the year 1773. This rich and large province was peopled by a crowd of half-savage tribes, who had lately acknowledged the sovereignty of the Russian Tsars. Their perpetual revolts, their impatience of all rule and civilized life, their treachery and cruelty, obliged the authorities to keep a sharp watch upon them in order to reduce them to submission. Forts had been placed at suitable points, and in most of them troops had been permanently established, composed of Cossacks, formerly possessors of the banks of the river Yaik. But even these Cossacks, who should have been a guarantee for the peace and quiet of the country, had for some time shown a dangerous and unruly spirit towards the imperial government. In 1772 a riot took place in the principal settlement. This riot was occasioned by the severe measures taken by General Traubenberg, in order to quell the insubordination of the army. The only result was the barbarous murder of Traubenberg, the substitution of new chiefs, and at last the suppression of the revolt by volleys of grape and harsh penalties. All this befell shortly before my coming to Fort Belogorsk. Then all was, or seemed, quiet. But the authorities had too lightly lent faith to the pretended repentance of the rebels, who were silently brooding over their hatred, and only awaiting a favorable opportunity to reopen the struggle. One evening, it was early in October, 1773, I was alone in my quarters, listening to the whistling of the autumn wind and watching the clouds passing rapidly over the moon. A message came from the commandant that he wished to see me at once at his house. I found there Chvabrine, Iwan Ignatievich, and the Uryadnik of the Cossacks. Neither the wife nor daughter of the commandant was in the room. He greeted me in an absent manner. Then, closing the door, he made everybody sit down, except the Uryadnik, who remained standing, drew a letter from his pocket, and said to us, "Gentlemen, important news. Listen to what the general writes." He put on his spectacles and read as follows. To the Commandant of Fort Belogorsk, Captain Myronov, these. Secret. I hereby inform you that the fugitive and schismatic Don Cossack, Yemelyan Pugachev, after being guilty of the unpardonable insolence of usurping the name of our late Emperor, Peter III, has assembled a gang of robbers, excited risings in villages on the Yaik, and taken and destroyed several forts, while committing everywhere robberies and murders.